Hello and welcome back to Canada. Today we're going to finally be moving off of the Goose Peninsula and starting our downtown. And I'm sorry as it has been a while since I last posted a video, but exam season is in full swing over here and I've been preparing for and starting a new mini-series that will be the main focus of this channel through December. So subscribe if you want to watch that, and you can get early access and vote on how that series in Canada will take shape on my Patreon, which is linked down below. Now today's episode will be a bit different than usual because if you've seen my downtown tutorials, you'll know that a lot of a downtown is built in relation to other parts of it, especially when it comes to the skyline. So today we'll just be laying down the basic roads and shaping our skyline, and there won't really be any detailing or cinematics in this episode as a result of that. Let's begin. So we're going to start off with designing our road network, and these two one-way roads, which eventually become Lion Mackenzie King Bridge, are some of the main arteries for traffic through the city. That being said, I won't be centering the downtown core on them, as there will be quite a lot of through traffic flowing on those roads. I also won't be using any roads larger than 5 lanes dedicated to cars, just to keep downtown a bit more pedestrian and bike friendly. The Mackenzie King roads do cover the one-way north-south grid, and these roads with 2 bike lanes will do the same for east-west, along with providing 2 significant cycleways. The downtown office core will be set back quite a bit from the Pacific shoreline, and its most important road, and possibly the most important road of the whole city, will be the now extended Terry Fox Avenue, and its intersection with this east-west road which I've just placed will be the beating heart of the downtown core. If you have any suggestions for the name of this road, or any of these roads for that matter, just leave a comment. And as a reminder, roads running north-south are named after history's great Canadians like Terry Fox, while roads going east-west are named after cities in Canada or cities and countries that were part of the British Commonwealth. The first building I'm placing here is this really high quality version of the Scotia Tower from Vancouver, and a lot of the buildings in my skyline and my city as a whole will be from Vancouver and Toronto, but I've had to put quite a lot of thought and effort into ensuring that the city does not feel entirely like a mix of those cities, but rather something that combines aspects of both to create its own personality and feel. The tallest building in the city will be a slightly modified at First Canadian Place from Toronto, as it is my favorite office building and, in my opinion, really Canadian in its style. And the second tallest building will be right across the road, being a very modern office tower from China. Right behind First Canadian Place will be the Downtown Core's primary metro station, and once I actually build up the area, I'll tie in other methods of transportation. And since this city is based on Toronto, there will be quite a few tram lines running through the downtown, and the one you've just seen me built runs on that road and then curves up to ultimately terminate in front of Union Station. Right here near the more southern area of downtown, I've built another much smaller train station. And while it may seem that this station and Union Station are rather close to each other, if you look at Melbourne, which provided a great deal of inspiration for how the trains will function in the city, you'll see that this isn't all that unusual. The station itself is this office building from Vienna, sunk into the height of the rails, with a total of 4 platforms surrounding 2 rails. I will also have a few rails that don't stop at this station to allow for express routes and intercity trains. As I've already said, everything built today is just a framework, so I won't really perfect this station, but when I come back to it, I'll definitely be connecting it to the other side of the trench with some pedestrian pathways and build some longer platforms. This road here will have a rather significant bend, and I'm not entirely pleased with it, especially considering how it does widen, but not enough to go around the station. So definitely expect this road to be something that won't remain in place very long. I've also used procedural objects to fit this office tower to the corner, but while it is cool, I'm also not quite sure of it in the greater context of the skyline. I'll probably leave it up to a patron vote as to whether this building stays or goes. But everything we build today is just a framework so that come the new year, when I can actually go and start building and detailing the downtown in its final form, I can place buildings and roads and detailed areas, knowing the context of what surrounds them. Now I'm bringing over my observation tower that I made using PO to combine and modify the CN, Calgary, and Auckland Sky Towers in preparation for this series. Now I'm really not entirely pleased with the way it looks, and I've been desperately wanting to edit it to be a bit less stubby and have a smaller support structure, but I've decided to do that when we actually do the episode where we build the observation tower and its surroundings. I wanted to have a tram line running east-west, but thanks to the narrowing of the road, I couldn't really have it without it being several blocks away from where I needed it to be. So I decided to make it a sort of S shape with it bending at the transit hub in the middle of downtown, and then running separate from the road by the bike lane all the way up to the observation tower. Now I'm just placing some more office spaces, and since the tower is 1 block over or so tall compared to the peninsula just a few blocks away, I needed to ease the transition with some big space-filling offices. I also added the SK building from Seoul to add more color variation into the skyline, though I don't really want there to be as many colorful buildings as in Toronto, as I want this city to have a quite sleek and futuristic feel to it. I also modified with PO the Commerce Court West Tower from Toronto, which in my opinion is a really great proof that an office building doesn't really have to be adventurous in its design to simply look good. Now I'm using Reaper's Ivory on Adelaide set to create my own off-brand version of the Infinity Condos development, which is a set of 4 condo buildings located right next to the CN Tower in Toronto. These are a bit more square than the real-life counterparts, but I do like the way they fit into the area and give it a rather planned feel. In terms of the skyline, the fact that these buildings aren't that tall but are still pretty large also works really well with the observation tower. I've also gone back off camera and made that set of 3 condos on Victoria Avenue right by the rails a lot taller, which does work rather well with the skyline and really eases the transition into downtown. Victoria Avenue will also end up curving into this road by the observation tower, which from a naming perspective is fine, as Victoria works as both a name and a city. After that, I set about filling in these last few blocks between the core and the station with a bit more of a residential transition. And the block directly in front of Union Station will be a park in order to have a neat sightline looking down towards the station front. Behind that park will be a much taller version of 1021 West Hastings from Vancouver, which adds a really futuristic touch to the skyline with its unique shape. I also replaced the Toronto condo I had on Victoria with Terry Fox, with some more office spaces, as I simply felt that the building was too tall for the spot. Now I ended up placing a lot of buildings off camera on the other end of downtown, and here's a quick view of that. But frankly, I'm not the biggest fan of any of it, so I cut it all out. Also, no cinematics here, so here are a few screenshots of the nice angles we've built. And Canada will be taking a hiatus through the month of December, as I do a mini-series that I've already started, and if you want to watch that in early access, you can do so on my Patreon, or just subscribe if you want to catch that series, which I hope to drop within the next week or so.